Are you struggling to find clients in your private practice? And did you know that Instagram is an amazing free opportunity for you to increase your visibility and attract cash-paying clients into your private practice? I'm Libby Rothschild, registered dietitian and founder of Dietitian Boss, where we show dietitians how to go from zero to creating 6- and 7-figure private practices. We inspire registered dietitians and nutritionists all over the world with how to use Instagram and social media marketing to attract cash-paying clients and make more money and create more impact. If you find this video helpful, give it a like and comment below and let me know what part stands out so I know what future videos to make for you. In this video, I'm going to share how to use Instagram marketing and in the right order of importance so that you can start attracting clients faster. The first step with using social media, Instagram specifically, to attract cash-paying clients into your private practice is identifying any barriers you have about using the platform. A lot of our clients have issues where they make these statements such as, I'm not good at using social media, I'm intimidated to show my face, it doesn't work for me, right? Those are very common statements we hear, and they're untrue. So you can learn how to use social media. I think it's really important to keep in mind that people are using social, consumers, meaning potential clients that you could be serving, are using Instagram marketing. They're using hashtags to find local places to eat. They're using hashtags to find service professionals, such as people who can cut their hair and people who can help them achieve nutrition outcomes, health outcomes. So I think it's really important that you're aware that there's a lot of power in Instagram and people are using it. And if you want to increase your visibility strategy and be seen as an expert and attract cash-paying clients, it's really important that you position yourself as an expert on social so that people know you exist by using hashtags and by your abilities to create content that really resonates with them and impacts people and makes them want to change their lives and transform the way they're living to achieve better outcomes. So before we move on, I want to ask you, what's holding you back? Let me know in the comments below. You can write it down on a piece of paper. Identifying any barriers, and we all have them, is important in your form and in your transformation for growth. For example, if you think that social media is not for you or you're not good at it, I encourage you to really think about what that means. And do you feel that way because you haven't tried? Do you feel that way because you haven't spent the energy and learned the tactical how-to and the step-by-step process? So it's really important that you're thinking through what these thoughts that you're telling yourself mean so that you're not holding yourself back from helping more clients. The second tip for you to stand out on Instagram and attract cash-paying clients is commit to the platform. So I see dietitians who will maybe go on social media and post once a month or once a year, or they don't even have a feed. And if you're going to commit, you've got to go all in, just like anything. Like when you became a dietitian, and studied for your RD exam, you had to really commit to what that, looked like for your learning style so that you could pass the examination. And that's no different than committing to this platform. There's over 1 billion monthly active users on Instagram as of, the time I'm recording this video. There's a huge opportunity for you to be seen and heard. So when you commit to showing up, let's say posting at least 3 times a week on the platform, and then showing up in your stories, ideally showing your face at least once a week to start, and then you can build up to twice a week. Those small steps are going to help you become more comfortable so you can shift your mindset from I'm not good at social media to I am, learning and navigating the platform because you believe and you're aware that social media is a way for you to get in front of an audience and a much wider access than you would have in your local community, right? Because you can reach so many more people. So you have to commit to the platform knowing that it is the route for you to reach people and be seen and heard. Now, while you're committing to the platform, I suggest that you set some routines for yourself. And tactically, you're able to use the platform, engage with like-minded users, and respond to your comments and comment on other particular posts that might be similar. For example, if you're in the weight loss space, maybe you're finding people in a similar arena and you're engaging with them, right, to build community. What I would suggest is that you have a certain time of day and you're allocating maybe 20 minutes, let's say 3 times a week, and you can build up to 5 times a week, where you're going on the platform, you're posting, you're showing up in your stories, and you're engaging. And that doesn't mean you need to live on social media. You have to create boundaries just like anything in your life, but you also want to carve out that time. So what can help is if you have a regular routine for a certain time of day. Back when I was in my clinical office, I remember using social media at 4:30 is when I would post every day when I was in my clinical office building my side hustle. I would use that time at 4:30 to post, engage with people, with fellow dietitians. I would go on my stories, and that's how I built community. And it's a great way for you to start as well. And it's all part of the commitment aspect of Instagram. The third tip for you to use Instagram to attract cash paying clients is showing your face. Now, if you follow me on social media and you chat or interact with me in any capacity on Instagram, or you've listened to my podcast, you know my tagline is show your face. I even have it here on my poster, right? Self-made millionaire, show your face. So what's important is that, people want to see you and they want to connect with you, and people don't want to do business with robots or a logo. They want to do business with another person. So when you show up and you're able to differentiate just by being yourself, people are going to feel that connection. And there's a lot of levels to this. So the first step is just, it could be a selfie or showing up. But then the second step would be really connecting and talking about what your audience is interested in. And then a third step that would be a little bit more higher level is sharing your story, right? And talking about your drivers. For example, why did you become a dietitian? And a lot of our clients have struggled with weight management issues, or maybe they've battled and overcome an eating disorder, or maybe they've struggled with, chronic pain that had to do with their IBS, and they went to bed feeling pregnant at night, even though they weren't. They felt 8 months pregnant and they weren't pregnant. They just were so bloated, and it was exhausting and excruciating pain. And so the more that our clients talk about their stories and their drivers for helping people, the more that they connect. And I do the same. I talk about how broke I was in clinical, how miserable I felt, and how that motivated me. Being paid so low and being so passionate about nutrition motivated me to talk about, my opportunities. And I was, teaching and doing other things to make money. And I eventually created my business to full time. And I talk about that journey all the time. And that's what's created this company and the mission and vision of Dietitian Boss. So much like my example and the examples I gave you of our clients, sharing your story is a great way for you to differentiate, stand out, build connections. And if you're talking to somebody who doesn't necessarily resonate with you, they might share your story with someone else. And that's how this works. So you have to be vulnerable and have courage, and you can start small, but that's a really key ingredient. It's a key component of attracting clients on Instagram. The fourth tip for you to use Instagram to attract cash paying clients is building community. You can do this super easily through hashtags. So part of this with the community is one of the first steps with niching down. Niching down, it means that you're defining what problem you're solving and differentiating yourself in the market. And I have an entire video about what that means linked here. One of the first phases of you identifying who you are, what you do, and how you stand out from other practitioners so that you can be seen and heard is building community. So when you go into communities, for example, let's say running, or you're going to go into a runner community, maybe 5K marathons, and you're going to review the hashtags. You're going to look at other accounts that are identified as runners. You're going to look at people who are in the community who talk about running, and you're going to engage with them. You're going to ask them, what about running are they struggling with? Maybe they're struggling with what to eat and they need some help and support, and you can identify that by going through hashtags and engaging in like-minded communities. And that was just one example, and you can copy and paste that for diabetes and A1C, for renal, right, chronic kidney disease. You can also do that same thing for weight loss, for people who are over 40, for perimenopause, for sports nutrition, for life cycle, for prenatal, for lactation, right? No matter what community or area you're interested in, you want to go find that community and go talk to those people and engage. And that's a great way for you to stand out and have conversations with people that can move to a sales conversation that can progress to a sale. The fifth tip for you to use Instagram to attract cash paying clients is to really dive into those hashtags. Now, I mentioned that in the previous tip, where you want to find a community. I mentioned a runner's community. And then once you've found that community or identified that community, right? Maybe a vegan community, running community, maybe a religious community. And then from that community, you want to look into respective hashtags. So if we're talking running, it could be 5K, marathon, and then all sorts of hashtags that you would find in that community and related to running. And so once you're able to look into those hashtags, you want to go into the top performing and search through that day. And maybe during the time that you're on Instagram, you're looking through those hashtags and engaging with posts related to your community and identifying what problems are. So you're going to be doing some market research by identifying and investigating via hashtags, and then making some connections on the way and supporting people and letting them know that you're taking clients. The sixth tip for attracting clients using Instagram is solving problems. It's really important that you do this in your content strategy. So on your feed and in your stories, like your number one goal is to solve problems. Now, not just any problem, you want to identify the biggest problem. So if we go back to a community, for example, marathon, and you've identified that people are really struggling with what to eat and they don't know how to create a plate to be able to hit their personal best so that they're having enough fuel, they're not under-fueled for running. So if that's the biggest problem you've identified because you found the community, you've looked at the hashtags and talked to people, the next step is for you to constantly be talking about that problem. And you can do that with your content, you can do that with you actually can say that on your stories, you can use text. It's really important that you're constantly discussing what people in your community are struggling with. And that's going to help you attract cash paying clients and attract similar types of people that have similar problems that you're discussing. Now, ideally, the gold standard would be to show results that you've delivered in your service. And you don't have to necessarily show identifying information. If you don't have clients' permission, you can cross that off. But if you don't yet have clients and you're watching this because you want to get your first client, the first step includes talking about the problem, talking about what people in your community say, the words they use, the language. And the more you talk about the problem, the more likely you are to get people who have that problem who want to pay you. And then when you get folks to pay you, that's when you show the outcome. So several iterations of this. And again, if you yourself struggle with that problem, let's say underfueling and performance, you can easily bring up your story and talk about how you've overcome that problem yourself. The seventh tip for attracting clients on Instagram is to develop a content strategy. Now, I don't want to overwhelm you with this. I already kind of mentioned it earlier. You want to make sure that you're consistent. I gave you a step-by-step of how you can show up for 20 minutes a day. Let's say you can start with 2 days a week and then progress up to 5 days a week. So you want to be posting on your feed at least 3 times a week on your feed. And you also want to be showing up in your stories and showing your face at least once a week. Now that's for beginners. If you're already doing that, ideally you want to progress up to posting 5 times a week on your feed. And you want to be showing your face in your stories at least 5 times a week. Now that can include a selfie. Ideally you're talking with your audience, because the more you engage, the more you interact, the more you show up, and the more you talk about your community and the problems you're solving, the more likely you are to get clients. Now, of course, you want to create boundaries. I'm not asking you to be on social media all day and night and feel exhausted. So that's why you want to create limits in your schedule and check at certain times and really set those, boundaries in your life so that you're finding a way to balance how you use social media with your life. But it's also a huge free opportunity for you to get in front of your ideal client, for you to make an impact, for you to create cash paying business, and for you to make an impact and work with people who want to work with you. So that content strategy can start out super small, but you've got to be consistent. So making sure that you're committing to posting on the feed at least 3 times a week and in your stories at least once a week, and showing your face at least once a week in your stories and at least once a week in your feed is going to help you stand out, even if you don't know who your community is and what you're doing. Because you know what? You got to start somewhere. And if you're watching this and you already have a defined niche, you know who your community is, I challenge you, I ask you, how often are you talking about the problem that you solve? And if you're not talking about it regularly or every day, there's an opportunity for you to talk about it more. If you've got client results, you want to be posting those regularly. If you already are, I would challenge you and ask you, what other iterations can you showcase those client outcomes so that you can constantly remind people as a service provider that you have the solution to their biggest problems? I hope you like this video and learned something new. If you could like this video and comment below with what tips stood out to you, I would greatly appreciate that, and make sure to watch this video about niching down.